All right. You guys ready? Let's do it. I don't know.
Let's kick it.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Greatest Movies of All Time podcast. We're a part movie discussion podcast show. We're a part debate show, and we're a part absurdist game show. I'm one of your movie, I don't want to say debaters, guys. I'm one of your movie people.
Connoisseurs.
I don't know about that either, but I watch movies. My name's Jesse. I watch movies. I like that. I'm with Gabriel, and I'm with JB, and our goal is to create the list of the greatest movies of all time. How you guys doing today? Good?
Well,
Yeah, doing great. Had a great day at home.
just sheltering in place.
Sheltering in place, going back to work, opening state back up for myself.
Never.
So this is our pilot episode. This is our first stab at this. We're gonna get through this. We got a couple movies today. We will be exploring Knives Out and Snowpiercer, and we'll be making a decision if they're one of the greats of all time, I guess. And we'll see. But in the meantime, have you guys seen anything that's not so great lately? Who wants to jump in?
What do you think, JB?
You know, I didn't even finish it. Kung Fu Panda 2.
All right, Kung Fu Panda 2.
Didn't even make it through.
Nope. Jack Black is a wonderful human, and unfortunately, when he's being adopted by some form of fowl, FOWL,
yeah,
it doesn't tug the heartstrings like it should.
Doesn't get you. Quick question. I know these we don't linger too long, but I do have a question. Kung Fu Panda 1.
Worth it.
All right. Okay.
It created a dynasty. Unfortunately, the dynasty did not live up to its name.
All right. So you went in with some expectation for the follow-up. I gotcha.
I thought it was supposed to.
Not nearly as good as his TikTok in short shorts and cowboy boots.
I haven't seen it, and I already know correct.
That is one of the greats.
Actually, hey, we'll have to see. For our TikTok podcast.
Well, you
yeah. So not so great. I did recently watch Six Underground, the Michael Bay film starring Ryan Reynolds, created for Netflix. Not so great.
Yeah, that's one I've always. It almost gets me every time because Ryan Reynolds. But once the synopsis, I can't go. So I've never even clicked it.
I mean, it's really nice set pieces for action, but real short on story.
Okay.
It keeps people that do parkour employed.
Yeah, if you're into parkour, like,
are people still into parkour?
I guess so.
It looks cool.
I mean, if COVID-19 were happening, wouldn't they still be filming American Ninja Warrior?
Good point.
Great point.
I recently watched the remake, the reboot, whatever you want, the Pet Sematary, 2019, whatnot. Not so great. Not so good. John Lithgow, he's kind of great in it. I really liked his pieces. And I have never seen the original Pet Sematary, full disclosure. I have seen Pet Sematary 2. Which also
that's the Edward Furlong one.
Yeah, and it also led me to my discovery of the punk rock band L7 because they have a song in it. So that was the highlight of Pet Sematary 2. But as for the remake, not so great. It was one of those things that, yeah. Once like the cat appeared in it, I said, oh, I know what this movie's about now, and not so great.
I've seen this movie before. It was better
In a
the
way,
first
like
time.
in a way, even though I'd never seen the first one, I knew enough that I was out. So I made it up until the last 10 minutes, and then cut it off. Not out of just like I can't stand this movie. I got tired, and then wrapped it up. It had like Pumpkinhead vibes to me, that old movie that Lance
But
Henriksen.
no Lance Henriksen though.
But no Lance, and
Mm.
and so I just kind of I walked away. Not so great. Any other not so greats out there?
I mean, I'm just gonna throw this one out there. Not so great. Not necessarily bad, but just not one of the great.
This is not one of the greats.
Horse Girl.
This is on Netflix, right?
This is the Netflix original. It is a drama about mental health. It's a hard watch. It's not bad. It's definitely not great though.
Just not great. And that's the thing. Our not so greats don't have to be terrible movies. They're just we would never bring them to the table to discuss as a great. It's just a not so great.
Right. Yeah, like I said, it's not badly written. It's not badly acted. It's just not great.
Yeah, it's just letting our listeners know that we'll never discuss that film as one of the greats.
That's right.
Like I saw Crawl last week. I was excited to see Crawl. I love any sort of Florida hurricane alligator movie. Sam Raimi executive produced it. It was fun.
Oh.
It was fun and pretty intense at times, but not one of the greats. Even though I had what brought me to Crawl, I kind of ignored it, thinking stacking it up as like The Meg and some of these other, more Hollywood produced big monster animal movies. It's not like that. It's better. It's not just one big killer croc. Spoiler alert. There's a lot of them. And on a couple movie podcasts I do listen to, some people put it as one of their top 10 horror movies of the year. But it's just
I want to see it. I didn't have high hopes for it, but I did expect it to at least be, tense, like ramp up the tension. I mean, I do recall, I think the director also directed High Tension, which was really good.
Yeah, and Hills Have Eyes, right?
The
remake. So it's good. Also, sometimes when you're not paying attention to things, and I wasn't paying attention to the marketing campaigns when it came out. Like my only real paying attention to its marketing campaign is downtown. They were like, one side of a building had all of the posters, they like will plaster a side of a building with a bunch of posters. A street teamer will get out there and do it. I saw this for the Crawl posters. Never really put one and two together why it was called Crawl until I realized it takes place in a crawl space underneath the house. So there's that.
You said this was Sam Raimi?
He
produced.
He produced. He was like an executive producer.
Okay. Interesting. Oh, okay. I see it. Wow.
So it's worth the check out. It's just not a great. I had it. It was because of the whole COVID situation. I was given through one of my subscription services a free month of Epix, the movie channel, and it was free on Epix. So I'm gonna watch that.
I like how recording podcasts during the time of COVID is going to really create this like timestamp on.
Yeah. The people who are left, when they go back and look, they'll see all the things we recorded during.
It's a cute little time capsule.
Yeah.
We're not putting them together in person, so.
And
We'll
then
see
just good, JB.
We'll see if the greats survive.
The greats will always survive. And speaking of not so greats, I'll just end on this one real quick. Not much to say. I also saw the film Underwater. Kristen Stewart, T.J. Miller. As some have said, an alien movie underwater. It's not, but it's.
TJ Miller's back?
Yeah, he says a lot of funny jokes during his time on the film.
Wow.
But it's good. I mean, they're underwater. I mean, I'll give it to this. Who needs character development? You just get in there, shit hits the fan, the thing starts breaking and falling apart, and they're underwater the whole time, and the monsters start showing up.
I mean, why bother to develop characters or plot?
Yeah. So it's one of those things that's almost just fun for the tension. You do not care about a single person in the film. So for that reason, it's not so great.
So what you're saying is you were totally okay when they were all murdered.
If some people didn't survive in this situation, I'm okay with it. If that were to happen, I was okay with it. If one, many, or nearly all didn't make it. But you expect that going in. So those are my not so greats I've seen in the last week or two. But for now, this is our first ever official discussion about one of the greats. And I think let's start with Knives Out. That one was it was tearing up all the discussions for a while. It was an ensemble piece, this sort of murder mystery film, kind of a throwback that no
Agatha
big real
Christie-esque.
Yeah, right. No big frills, no huge. It's like a kind of a small set piece, all mostly centered around this one house, but arguably some really good performances and a pretty intriguing plot. So the way this works is anybody kind of takes it out there. I kind of think we just jump out and say, hey, what are some things that make this film great? And again, we're just kind of exploring its greatness at this point with no particular path. Anybody have anything who wants to jump in to kind of say what's something that makes this a great film?
All right. I mean, let's start with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Nice. All right.
Actress, legend, huge career, comes in to a ensemble murder mystery movie. Just a whole lot of fun. You haven't seen Jamie Lee Curtis let this much out since her Activia commercials or Freaky Friday.
Right. She has seen a little bit of a resurgence with the Halloween movie of late. Last few years. No, you're right.
Did anyone watch that one?
Have not seen it.
No. We'll get to it.
Yeah. Halloween special is right around the corner.
Yeah, no. Playing right off of that and our earlier commentary around the Hallmark movies. The characters referencing a fictional Hallmark film starring Danica McKellar from The Wonder Years. I enjoyed that little nugget. It's little things like that throughout the film. These like referential, these pop culture references to things that exist but don't exist in this world that's been crafted. Along with that, I'm just going to throw in whatever that accent was Daniel Craig was doing as Detective Benoit Blanc. Yeah. I'm not sure if it was Creole, Cajun, French, I random middle Texas. I don't know. It ebbed and flowed in various ways and was somehow very enjoyable.
No, it's very enjoyable. I mean, I think he even poked fun at it on a Saturday Night Live episode down the line, making fun of that accent. But no, I agree. It's kind of an easy route to go sometimes. But even once Daniel Craig is on the screen, when he's sitting back in the back of the room while the interrogation's going, to me, that is one of the funniest moments I've seen in a long time in the film. Interjecting a word or two occasionally, flipping his coin, coming off, that they kind of, right, they flip it. Your expectation, he comes off as this completely put together, detective who has it all down, and then as you get to know him throughout the film, he's really the opposite in that persona, right? So it was that moment, and I think it was JB. It was up till and not until Jamie Lee Curtis, if I remember correctly. She's the one who's like, "Who the hell is this guy? Like, what is he doing back there?" Which then he jumps in the front of the frame. So yeah, when Daniel Craig appeared, like I said, being the big star power, I get it. But when he was on there and just seeing him, because I kind of went into this movie blind, no trailers, not on purpose, just by situation. But when and Daniel Craig was kind of a reason I wasn't hyped to see it per se. Because sometimes it's hard. He's an actor for me that sometimes it's hard to divorce the persona from the character. Like Daniel Craig, I see Daniel Craig, like I see Tom Cruise and some of these, and Russell Crowe in a lot of films.
Well, let me ask you this: Have you seen Logan Lucky?
I've not seen Logan Lucky.
That is a fantastic film with Daniel Craig. Soderbergh.
Yeah. That absolutely that helps. That was my first exposure to non-serious Daniel Craig as a comedic actor, and helped make Knives Out a much more easily digestible experience. But
yeah, that I would agree with you. I think that's really the first role I recall him being in that pulled him out of what seemed to be typecasting up until that point, and then again with Knives Out.
And he kind of did the same accent, if I'm not mistaken. That's his goofball accent.
It's slightly different, but yeah, I'm with you. They're not a bridge too far to connect the two.
Yeah, so it was that opening part with him that I said, "Hey, this is something, right? This could be something more than just a good movie." The
occasional just piano note.
Yeah, that right there. No, I'm telling you, those are the little things that sold it for me.
I was like, what is he picking up on?
Mm-hmm. No, I will say that's one of the, especially setting up a murder mystery of that style. In recent memory, I can't think of a movie that hooked me that quick, given the concept and the whole setup, the premise. I did not expect to get reeled in that quick to Knives Out.
Yeah, I think that is a credit to the writing and the direction. It was without having to do much in the way of character development. You within 15 minutes felt like you knew many of these characters and were at least intrigued by the storyline. Right. I just thought that was the most fun I had in the movie theater in 2019. Like, hands down, there's not another film I enjoyed more as I watched it unfold before my eyes than Knives Out. I mean, and I know we've talked about Craig and we've talked about Jamie Lee Curtis, but Don Johnson, Michael Shannon, I mean, Chris Evans, like taking, a turn away from Captain America, and being an action lead to play this really interesting kind of deep character. Toni Collette, I mean, the list goes on, but Keith Stanfield was fantastic as the other detective investigating. Oh, for
sure. No question.
So, yeah, I was just, and the fact that you had so many stars and they really just would take steps back and let the other kind of play in that space and react and interact together. I think that's a true tribute to like Rian Johnson's ability to work with actors and have them work with each other.
No, I agree. And I think also just with the storytelling as well. One, you had the visual clues. You knew with the chair with the knives all around it. You knew at some point, like beyond just like knowing, hey, title Knives Out. The whole time you're watching, you're thinking, where's that connection? And you know at some point that chair is going to play a role in this plot, in this film, and then just to kind of see how it all comes together. There's so many little visual clues and little plot points that are rewarding throughout this film, that if you're paying attention even slightly, you're not having to really like, and it's not that like college student style, like hits you over the top of the head type visual clues. They're just clever and they're quirky. The piece about throwing up every time she lies is it's a beautiful little
so good
way to drive the plot forward. And you as an audience member, you know when she's lying, or you know when she's forced to tell a lie or tell a truth, and you know what's going to happen. And so you're just sitting there enjoying the situation she's in, because you know at any moment, in order to save herself, to keep things covered up, she's going to have to vomit in a moment. And I just think it's hilarious. It is one of the funniest things that could be played, on paper. You might read it as like a Farley Brothers type Dumb and Dumber type, something about Mary thing.
But the sight gag.
But the way it's handled and played out in this, it fits totally in with the movie you're watching, and you enjoy it immensely. So that was little things like that. Those little subtle touches. Really impressed. Really impressed.
Yeah, I think the puking as a literary device, which really what sold me on this movie as well. It's just one of those tokens. You'll always think back to that movie where the girl pukes because she can't lie. Very Pinocchio-y.
No, it's true, right? Yeah, it's your nose is gonna grow every time you lie, and that's what I love about it. It's those little things where you don't, even though it's a movie that does explain a lot, even though it's a movie that does reveal a lot of things through flashbacks and kind of walks you through things and pulls the curtain back much earlier than you ever anticipated. It still does the opposite and show. It uses that knowledge to its advantage to then do little subtle cues and sight gags and other tips of the hat to what's happening, because now you know that information, right? And it's letting you as an audience member participate in this like murder mystery, like dinner party as well.
Going back to the earlier comment about the chair of knives, right?
Mm-hmm.
I almost felt like that was an intentional poke at Game of Thrones and the Iron Throne.
Well, that was my initial, when I first saw it too. That was where my head went.
The absurdity, right? Mm-hmm. of that. And then, yeah, I had a chair made of knives. I thought that was masterful. It was just a neat little touch.
All right. A lot of great talk. Is there anything anybody wants to throw out this that might make this not so great? Is there any dings to its armor? We feel it was nice to see Chris Evans in a different role, non-action star, but out of the ensemble, he was probably one of my least favorite characters in the film. And I don't know if it's because I didn't trust him at certain points in the film, and maybe that speaks to his acting and his role. But he was one that I didn't fully enjoy as much as, but also because he was also in such a crew of everyone else.
I felt like there was a subtlety to that, and I feel like that was the entire point, right? It was to not necessarily feel like you could trust him, but then when he does like rescue Marta from the family and he takes her to the restaurant, it draws the attention away from him as a potential suspect. It's almost like he's trying to rescue her because he despises the rest of his family so much, right? And so I feel like that was the exact point of that character being written that way, of him portraying the character that way. And I really appreciated it.
Yeah, on that point, it was interesting now that I'm remembering more, is at times the plot point that moved it forward was super obvious, and you're like, yeah, murder mystery plot point, totally there. I get it. And then at times they just throw you a total curveball, and you're like, oh crap, okay, I see you, Ryan Johnson. This is a 2019 film. We're still breaking a little bit of the mold. So I enjoyed those moments too, where and he even like fed you maybe 2 or 3 obvious plot points, and then you were sort of primed to expect another, and they shift directions or give you a clue that's like totally out of the left field, and you're like, okay, this movie does have 30 minutes left.
No, it's true. It's true. Yeah, like I said, it was mostly, yeah, there was very little of complaints on my part when it came to the film. Yeah. So I don't know if there's any not so great moments for anybody else.
No, no. I mean, I feel like it was all just very well orchestrated and handled. I mean, it hits all those traditional like noir murder mystery whodunit like plot points, while simultaneously being very self-aware and kind of tongue-in-cheek in these like self-referential moments, and kind of poking fun and then poking holes in those tropes. And so I just I like I said, I don't think I had more fun at the theater last year than I did watching Knives Out.
Yeah, and I kind of wish it's a red box rental for me, but I do. But it's still a fun movie. I haven't seen as many in the theaters lately, and I guess not for a while moving forward. But it was still a really enjoyable home experience as well for me. It kind of reminded me of longed for the Miramax-esque ensemble pieces of a couple decades ago, that we really don't have as much of these ensemble movies that doesn't require a lot of different sets. It's more about the characters. It's more about the situation.
You
we haven't
mean
seen
almost like a more playful, funnier version of The Usual Suspects?
I mean, what that piece as well, right? The one, I'm trying to look it up, the one closest to memory that had that same vibe, but was not so great, I would venture out, is what was it? Hotel L. Chris Pine was in
Hotel Transylvania.
Hotel, the second one, Adam Sandler. Let me pull this up on the spot, because I did see part of this film, but then bailed. Let's see here, what we got. Pulling it up. Doesn't even come on Chris Pine's main films.
Was it Chris Pine or Chris Hemsworth?
Ooh, I think it was Pine.
Are you talking about Bad Times at the Hotel Royale?
Yeah, who was in that?
That's Hemsworth.
And Bad Times at the whatever. Yeah. That had that same ensemble piece. I got about halfway through that one, going in with that same hope that it would deliver in that in Knives Out.
It's Bad Times at the El Royale.
El Royale, that's it.
Yes. Yeah, that had John Hamm, Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Handful of other folk.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, unless there's other things to be said, I think we're kind of at a.
Oh, and how can I forget? Fucking Jeff Bridges is in that.
He is in it. Yeah, he's a priest. He's a priest. I saw about the first 20, 30 minutes of that.
I think you should revisit that.
All right.
I think it's worth seeing it through to the end. It's not one of the greats, but it is a very fun watch.
It's a fun watch. Still good, like I said. And that's what we're figuring out about Knives Out. Listen, our plan was to do Knives Out Snowpiercer. I think Snowpiercer might be a quick talk, since it's a slightly older film, because we're kind of keeping track of our time. Quick question though, since we're doing 2 films here, do we want to kind of make that decision on Knives Out now, or wait till our end of our talk?
You tell me, oh illustrious host.
I say it's fresh in our minds before we waver. Our goal is here. We're all going to write on a piece of paper. Great, not great. Again, I think we've all agreed this is a good movie. But now we're deciding, is this one of the greats? And again, this is no light lifting task. Once it's been voted a great, it's forever a great. So think about that again. There's a lot of good movies out there. Is this one of the greats? So write down your response.
Yeah, got it.
And I made my decision in full disclosure somewhere during our discussion. I was unsure.
I think I had my decision. My mind was made up prior to our discussion.
Mine definitely was. Well, let's just see what we got. Get JB, you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
All right, let's throw it up. We'll show the camera. 1, 2, and 3.
Great.
Oh, I got a great. JB, is that a great?
I hope so.
Yeah, that's great. That's 3 greats.
That's the screens. Wow, that's a clean sweep there. I'm gonna we'll add in the applause.
Well
later.
done.
Congratulations, Knives Out. I think as a thing here, as podcast goes live, we'll tweet directors and writers and congratulate them on their win. That's one of the greats.
Good. Yes. Yes.
The media blitz.
No, this coming off of the Last Jedi, I thought this was it was a return to what I loved so much about Rian Johnson, just his ability to write characters and craft worlds that feel immersive and are very easily accessible, but fun and complex.
Well, it's great to see too, as everyone knows. I don't keep track of Star Wars movies, anymore. But for no reason other than lack of interest.
Oh yeah, no, I mean I'll defend The Last Jedi. Yeah. I don't think it's a bad movie at all.
No, and like I said, I'm not these like Star Wars purist or like, hey, whatever. I just something happened someday where I was like, oh wow, Star Wars doesn't click. But I think if I sit and watch it, I enjoy it. I just don't go to them. But to see him come off of a film like what I know what a Star Wars movie entails. The production, the movie, the CGI, the millions upon millions of dollars to make this thing happen.
And all of the green screens.
All of the green screens, all of the production staff, all of the people. And then to see the Knives Out, it'd be the next film. I think that's
brilliant.
Wildly impressive.
Yeah.
Wildly impressive. So as for me, I came in here really liking Knives Out, not thinking it might be a great, but gentlemen, our discussion swayed me to great. For sure. I was definitely a not great going in.
I mean, let's also point attention to Rian Johnson's first film, Evil Demon Golf Ball from Hell, 1996.
Might have to.
I'm gonna have to find that.
It's on Google, I think.
I'm familiar with his work going back to Brick.
Brick's good.
1996.
Brick's a fun film noir set in high school. Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to say yes.
Lucas Haas.
Man, Lucas Haas.
If I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall the female lead in that, but those two in particular, I do remember. But yeah, no, that was a fun movie. Anyway.
Perfect.
Should we seg you?
Speaking of Chris Evans,
he's in
I wanted to do that.
Listen, we're so on top of it. We realized, at least I wasn't thinking Chris Evans on both films, but when we kind of threw out some films, hey, Snowpiercer was on the list.
Captain America, Fantastic Four, one of the versions.
Yeah, the guys.
Let's forget those Fantastic Four films exist.
So in 2013 era, at some point, Snowpiercer. I had seen The Host, and really enjoyed The Host.
Same.
And thought that was a great film. Seen it years prior, and then you're reading blogs or whatnot. The guy who did the host, he has a new film in English, limited theater run, Snowpiercer, about a train that just circles a frozen Earth. That's kind of a struggle between class. It's getting good feedback. So I was like, I got to go see this film. And went and saw Snowpiercer in the theater, and really enjoyed it. And it's since then, I think, has kind of had a little bit of a cult status, and now with Parasite, it's getting even more attention, I'm sure. But that's kind of my history with Snowpiercer. I don't know if anybody else has some thoughts.
Yeah, my first introduction to Bong Joon-ho was The Host, and I subsequently saw Mother. But yeah, when I read about and heard about Snowpiercer, I was wildly intrigued. It's like, how is this going to be a 2-hour plus film? And I was like, I'm in. Whatever this is, I'm in. I'm gonna watch it. We'll see where it goes. Unlike you, it was not the limited theatrical release was not available in my part of the country.
Oh, wow.
But I did very shortly after that limited theatrical run purchase and watch the film. And yeah, I've since watched Okja as well as Parasite.
Still haven't seen Okja, yeah.
I'm gonna throw myself in I'm a fan of Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah.
I think he is probably one of the better directors working in cinema today.
I'm definitely sure we'll have a Parasite discussion at some point. Given its awards as well, we should examine that film at some point.
I really hope we do.
JB, Snowpiercer, thoughts?
Snowpiercer is the first time I saw Chris Evans with a beard.
And how did you feel about this?
I was mixed feelings.
Tell me more about these mixed feelings.
First time, you're like, whoa, what happened to this clean-shaven superhero guy? Looks like a renegade. And for you, I didn't watch Snowpiercer at the beginning. I watched it maybe 2017, 2018. Okay. So I just had this image. I knew the movie poster was Chris Evans in a beanie looking intensely outside with a beard. Just like, okay, what is this movie about?
What happened to my Captain America?
You're like intrigued. Yeah.
Yeah, he seemed so wholesome before. Is he okay? And then, by 2017, I think Bong Joon-ho was generating more traction because Okja came out soon after. It had come out 2017, or if not late 2016. So Okja had come out, and then they connected that to Snowpiercer. I never really watched The Host. I will get around to it. But it was a great movie. First thought was, I love a good class struggle. And
like, that's your quote, JB. I love a good class struggle.
I love a good class struggle. Sign me up. Relatable.
Just really distraught over, this transformation of Chris Evans from an earlier appearance in the Nanny Diaries.
Now you can't even find a Chris Evans without facial hair. So riddle me that, Hollywood.
No, I'll say this. If you get a chance, I'm not sure if it's necessarily a great, but The Host is definitely a fun monster movie.
It ties in with, I feel like one of Bong Joon-ho's like running themes is this idea of family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And whether be that acquired family or birth family. But The Host is very much a film about family, even though it's a monster movie. And that one's absolutely terrific. For sure.
Yeah.
I'd say go back and give that a visit.
No, for sure.
Go check into that hotel.
It's definitely one I want to rewatch. I haven't seen it in years.
Yeah. Something else interesting about Snowpiercer was, the magical drug currency that's used to sort of coax this engineer to do their bidding, chronal. Until recently, I didn't even know that there was a currency that's the pretty much the Slavic or the Scandinavian currencies, krona and kroner. So that's sort of like a little nod to this idea of like the upper class echelon using, I don't know. It was pretty interesting. It was like it tied it back to the real world in a way that I didn't know was there.
Yeah. So I'm gonna piggyback off your comment about loving a good class struggle.
Yes.
That immediately is what resonated with me, like, about this film. It's this whole idea of society, encapsulated in a non-stop moving train, right? The society that we live in, and Jesus, if it's never been more apparent than it is now, with the current extraordinary circumstances.
Yeah.
This is very much about climate change. It's very much about classism. It's very much about the haves and have-nots and the people pulling the strings at the top. But it's done in such a way that almost immediately you suspend disbelief, despite the fact that you're talking about a film that takes place entirely on a train in a world covered in ice.
Yeah.
I think the stark reality of society is what anchors that unbelievable part of the film, and then makes it something that you can immediately immerse yourself in.
But here's an added thought to that. The train circumnavigating the globe on this uninhabitable place is literally just a microcosm of Earth circling an uninhabitable place, which is pretty nuts. Pretty nuts.
Meta.
That's heavy stuff. It is.
Long June, what are you smoking?
Ronald.
The power of rocket ships.
No, but beyond that, right? I think the performances in this are also really great. Tilda Swinton is fantastic.
Tilda Swinton, she's a bit of a comic book character in a way. Something as like an evil bad guy from a children's book, but that just heightens the theme, the message of this thing we're in.
Well, so, this is based on a graphic novel, so that's perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
John Hurt. Like, when was the last time you saw a film with John Hurt where, like, you remember John Hurt was in that movie?
Yeah, no, exactly.
It just, Octavia Spencer's terrific.
Yeah.
The fight scenes. Right. This is a drama. This is, by all accounts, it's a drama, right? The subject matter, the weight, it's all a drama. But the set pieces that take place in these action sequences are insane. Right? The fight in the train car with the lights off. The only thing I can compare that to are fight scenes in The Raid and The Raid 2. Like, just insanity. It's so good. It's so violent.
It's very violent.
Yes. But very purposeful in driving the story forward, right? It's not violence for the sake of violence.
Mm-hmm. No, it's definitely not.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
No. The extreme violence, the extreme violence language. It reminds you of kind of this idea of the hard R, which is not really around much anymore. It shows up every once in a while, When they say, "Oh, this is a hard R," it's kind of like the hard R movies of yesterday. But in this film, it's not meant to just. It serves a purpose.
Yeah.
It directly impacts. The movie doesn't have as much impact if it doesn't have that extreme violence and the extreme language.
Right.
Well.
That one fight scene in the blacked out train car, right? Like that's the piece that drives Chris Evans' character to continue to push forward because of the death of Edgar, who he viewed as like family, his brother, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's key, I think, to Curtis wanting to continue his push towards the front of the train car, right? To pursue some sort of change or understanding, right? And I think that's so key. And then almost immediately after that, they end up in the classroom car.
Yeah.
With Allison Peel, who is fantastic as the teacher. And she's mostly done like largely comedic like performances. If I'm not mistaken, she's in like Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Okay. Yeah.
A few things like that. But that whole setting, within 15 minutes, I think, following that train car sequence of violence, you're very quickly reminded of just like in this world we live in, we have innocence and fragility, like butted right up against the most violent aspects of culture and society.
I did find it interesting how the train cars were laid out sequentially. That was definitely very intentional. Even leading up all the way to the end with all the hedonism, the pleasure-seeking vehicles right before the very top.
Excess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Leisure. Yeah.
It was wild. It's good.
Wow.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts, Jesse?
No, listen, you guys, I'm enjoying this conversation. It's getting me thinking. I've seen, I saw this film again for the second or third time, probably the third time about 2 weeks ago. I'm kind of under a different lens. My 13-year-old son wanted to see it. He pulled it from the shelf, and I'm like, "Yeah, Snowpiercer, let's do this." And to his, to throw his thought in there, he said it's the greatest action movie he's ever seen in his life. I mean, granted, very limited exposure, but also one of his favorite films he's ever seen. Not even action; he's just one of his favorite movies. And I'm sure that's more towards the action and the whatnot. But no, I agree 100%. It's just everything about the film, as you dissect it and look at it, is just perfectly orchestrated and laid out. Kind of like you said, JB, almost like train car by train car. Even down to the part where you have the children underneath running, running the things
in the engine.
In the engine room, right?
Yeah.
At the engine, when you get to the end there, which is also, and then you start thinking Parasite, and you see these also very similar kind of setups within that house in Parasite.
Yeah, I think that is, again, this is why I personally feel like Bong Joon-ho is one of, if not the best director working in cinema today. He understands how to pull you in. He understands how to make it entertaining, but he also understands how to tell a story about society and hold a lens up to it in a way that so few directors working in major motion pictures are doing today.
Yeah.
And there's a craft and an art and a skill to that.
And like I said, and I think, and I agree. And what's interesting for me is, I think, even though this isn't a discussion about Parasite, Parasite also slightly changes my view on Snowpiercer as well, in this fact of when we're thinking greats, right? and these ideas and these themes and these messages, the two carry similar ideas for sure, but two drastically different approaches for this, and they're kind of telling a similar tale, but like I said,
two very different settings, though.
yes, two different settings, two different
The circumstances
are different, but and so then part of me's thinking like, you know, where's he at with perfecting that message he's getting across? That's also like you said, there's an underlying thread in a lot of his films, a common thread that hold his works together. And some of the parallels with Snowpiercer, and again, it's very possible to have two potential greats or more in your holster, right? I mean, you could just be, you have that holster of bullets around you like the Old West, and every one of them's great. Well, it's a possibility.
I mean, there are directors like that, right? Like, it's, you know, you can jump around from random film, and you can find directors who every now and again catch lightning in a bottle and then sort of fizzle out. But there are the true auteurs of cinema who are just, they know how to shape and tell a story, and tell it in a way that resonates and lands and feels real.
No, it's true. And I agree. Yeah. There's directors out there who, you know, they have their own hall of greats, if you will, because that's what they do. You know,
what are you going to do? Just pick one Mel Brooks film?
You know,
I mean,
maybe, yeah.
No, but I mean, I think that my point of sort of pinning the Mel Brooks reference in there is, I think it's across genre, right? I think there are people who are just brilliant filmmakers who can create, you know, satire or farce, and they're really good at it. And then there are people who tell these very dramatic tales, and they're really good at it. And then occasionally you get these people who can direct across genre, and they're really fucking good at it. And that's bizarre. Like that's rare. That requires a rare set of skills and talent and vision. And, you know, I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious where I'm leaning on this one.
No, I think we're close to vote. We've been running long. We're already over an hour tonight. But yes, the first one, we're learning this. But no, I see your point. And like, yeah, my point in the struggle is, has he refined his skills over time and has gotten better at telling that particular story? Or like you said, it's, hey, he's mastered a sci-fi genre. He's moving into more, hey, I can now just take this as pure drama, as is something more in the case with Parasite.
See, I want to table this discussion because I think Parasite's a completely different conversation.
No, it is a different conversation. I'm saying his work, the similar themes is what has clouded some of my thoughts with Snowpiercer.
Sure.
Is what I'm saying. Like, because again, I see the difference. Say you can take a Mel Brooks, Young Frankenstein is vastly different than Blazing Saddles, right? They're both comedies. Very different. Man, heck, show me a millennial who'll say Blazing Saddles is good.
Okay,
they'd be wrong if they said he wasn't, because that's hands down.
They'd be too offended.
Okay, boomer.
They're like, you can't say that. No,
Joe Biden, what?
But the point is, yeah, Mel Brooks, Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, two comedies, two, you know,
high anxiety.
Farces. You know,
like,
but there's also, like, I think very unique takes on things. You could say, you know, I think arguably Tarantino has some films that could be considered greats in there somewhere. But but he's had his moments where it's like, hey, Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs share similar ideas. You know,
and now he's super into like revisionist history.
No, with Inglourious and
Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, and Once Upon a Time, and then but he sticks in his little moments, and then you had Hateful Eight and Django are both very similar in their pieces, and though I like both of those, I think one is much better than the other.
Hateful Eight.
We won't say. We won't say.
That's for a future podcast.
But like I said, and that's I see a little bit where I think sometimes when you have works that share some ideas,
Sure.
That's where I find some of my point. But I agree, Parasite is a whole nother conversation as well. But yeah, so that's just my kind of.
I mean, I think particularly when you're talking about directors and their body of work, especially if they're consistent directors, right? Mm-hmm. Whether they're good or bad, like they're very consistent in producing films of a certain caliber geared towards a certain audience. I mean, shit, Lloyd Kaufman, you're not going to have me say that trauma films are all bad, because I don't think they are.
No, there could be a great in trauma, in the Traumaverse. We'll just have to find it.
And that's I think that's really what I'm trying to get at is there are people who've refined what they do and the style that they work in, or the themes that they work around, right? And they they're very consistent, and they put out things that are consistently entertaining or engaging or enthralling. And that doesn't mean they should be limited to one.
I hear that argument for sure, right? Who says you get one? You only get one work to be judged as great, for sure, and I get that as well.
Because I'll fight you on Kubrick.
Yeah, he made that one movie, right? Eyes Wide Shut.
Just one. Just that shut. One.
Yeah.
Definitely, and that's the one.
AI.
That's Spielberg's best film that he didn't write, probably. No. What?
I like to do the Kubrick films that he didn't quite finish or do. All right, no, I'm ready. I think we're ready to vote. I'm
good.
JB, where are you at? Any last thoughts?
I've been thinking while y'all been talking about how the theme of tonight is really about movies where people are dying, and there's some mystery involved.
Or Chris
Evans is involved,
and his face, and Chris Evans' facial hair.
People are rooting for Chris Evans.
Yeah,
bearded
always.
Chris.
Mm-hmm.
But then at times he makes mistakes, and you're like, "What's going on, Chris?"
Yeah,
and that's really, I think, at the heart of these two movies is what's going on, Chris.
What's going on, Chris? I like it.
What are you feeling, Chris? Tell me about your day, buddy.
Yeah, and it would have been really nice to see Benoit Blanc on that train.
No question. All right, I'm ready to show my answer. It looks like JB.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm ready.
All right.
Went through. We got a great from Gabriel. What did we get? We got a great from JB. I put a not.
Not yet.
Not yet. Frowning face. It's still one of the greats. Listen. Full disclosure too. I think I was on the Snowpiercer hype train from the beginning.
Wow, good use of words.
Right, I've been working on that one.
Yeah.
And even from when I agree 100%, all the things are there. And actually, a lot of the discussion elevated its status for me as well. Like I got close to great as a vote, and I almost used the Parasite argument as kind of a way out of my greatness, as to give me an out in the discussion. Full disclosure, but also there's been something about Snowpiercer, even from the first time I saw it, that I'm never eager to really watch it again. And I'm
that's odd considering you've said you've watched it 3 times now.
I know I've seen it 3. It's been my dilemma, right? When I bought it on Blu-ray or whatnot, that was the rewatch to say, okay, let's give this a second try. What was I? Bad night at the theater? Who knows, right? And it was still like, oh, it's a good movie. Oh, it's fun. I like it. I really like what it's doing. And then watching it for the 3rd time the other night with my son, and he was like, man, I really like this. And I'm just like, yeah, it's good. It's really good. Like it's never hit that great for me. On just sitting back and feeling satisfied. Maybe it's because of, it ends with Chris Evans talking about eating babies. And maybe it just leaves that like bad feeling in when you, and I'm just whatever. But I don't know. It's been a weird movie that I want to like more than I do. And I haven't pinpointed what's the thing that doesn't put it as a great film for me. But regardless, it's still a great. So now whenever I got to say it, I still have to say Snowpiercer, one of the greats. So you guys win. So
well, and eventually I think you'll come around. It's one that anytime I talk to someone and they say they haven't seen it, I'm like, you're going to sit down with me and we're going to watch this.
Yeah. And now you're also going to say, you haven't seen it. It's one of the greats.
It's one of the greats.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to sit down and watch this with me.
And for me, the thing you mentioned about the end of the film, right? That visceral image, this understanding of what it means, right? To be at the head of the train.
Yeah. And to be the first person to ever take that journey from end to end.
Yeah. It's the sausage being made.
Yeah.
It's vile. It's disgusting. It's vulgar. It's the thing that I think I've always thought about society.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to see what that end is. Like, I feel like I know what it is, but I don't want to be there.
All right. Well, hey, listen, me neither. I'm glad I'm not on that train. Or am I? Think about that.
Whoa.
Yep.
Also, a polar bear doesn't indicate that it's safe to live outside.
That's also true.
So
maybe that's why it's not great for me. Maybe that's why I couldn't say it's great. All right. We're going to end that as a quick little bet, as we will do moving forward. We're gonna do a bet as the three of us. The way this bet will end, since both films got added into as greats, typically if you win a bet, you can save a film for like if it gets voted down, you can bring. Let's say this. Let's say any past film that's voted down, you have that chance to say, hey, I want this film to have a second chance. But we have no second chances needed today, being the first episode. So you will kind of get the last word, where you kind of get to wrap up the conversation. You get to say, none of us can respond. You can say something positive, negative about either one of the films, one of the not so greats we talked about, or something somebody said that you just felt was needed to be said something about. I don't know. So anyway, here's our bet. Once we picked Knives Out, what I did, I've not looked at these reviews. I pulled up the top 4. And don't go there now, but I pulled up the top 4, the first 4 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes for Knives Out. What we're going to do in a minute, we're all going to write down a number, and then I'm going to do a quick Control F search. I want us to each write down a number that we'll share, and then we'll look up how many times in those 4 reviews do we think the word mystery is used. So it's 4 reviews. And what I can tell you, let's see.
It's an aggregate number of all 4?
Yes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick Control F, and it tells me how many times that word mystery pops up on each page. And then we will make our vote. So write your number down. Once you're ready, we'll all show. It's 4 reviews. Just no particular selection of the reviews, just the first 4 that. Here's
first
how we're gonna
4 reviews.
First 4 reviews. How many times total is the word mystery used? I will tell us if it helps you or doesn't help. The reviews, the first 4 reviews listed on Rotten Tomatoes are from The No. That's the name of the website. The Guardian, The Wall Street Journal, and AP News.
Okay. Because that's what I was going to ask. Are they critic or fan reviews?
These are all critic reviews.
All critic
These are
reviews.
all critic. We only pull from the critics.
Mm.
So we'll write our total number. 4 reviews. How many times is each writer going to use the word mystery?
What if they spelled mystery wrong and my number is actually right just because your Control F didn't have that?
Listen, we're going with the correct spelling.
Mysterie.
Mystery. All right.
And again, the way this works, closest to the pin. Ooh, all right. I got my number. I don't know how I feel about it.
All right.
All right. JB, you got your number down? Well,
Yes.
All right. We'll hold them up and we'll say it. I guess I'll go first. I put 12.
I put 9.
All right.
I went for 17.
All right.
I'm probably under. I'm hoping.
All right. This is fun.
I mean,
All right,
Some only
control
say
on.
mystery once.
Yeah.
oh man,
All right.
oh man.
And I still
Okay.
think we're talking about an average of 2 times per.
All right. We'll go down the list here. As we add up the
WSJ.
math. Again, I didn't even look at these. I clicked on them after we did it. The no.
You have to keep reminding us as if like maybe we're supposed to think otherwise.
Well, the listeners, they don't know. They don't know. They don't know that the number one thing we're all about is integrity. It is our number one goal in life. The no, with the title "Knives Out" is a dazzling, witty murder mystery in an age of franchises, mentions the word mystery 4 times.
I'm done.
That's a good rate. That's a good rate.
Looking
Totally
good for JB.
Yeah, let's keep that average.
All right, listen, this would have been a better vote. The Guardian, which uses the title Knives Out Review, Daniel Craig Goes Columbo in Cluedo, Whodunit. Whodunit should have been the word I searched. But regardless, the Guardian uses it 4 times as well.
Oh my God. I was thinking 16. I was thinking 4 per, but then I was like, I'm hoping it's lower.
Man, Wall Street
right.
Journal might not use it.
The Wall Street Journal, who has higher standards and a wider vocabulary, does use the word whodunit, but not the word mystery.
Dude.
That was my hope. So, all right, I'm sitting good at 9 right now.
Oh,
right.
I'm out. I'm hoping for 13.
All right.
Or no, 9.
And we will end it with the AP News, which, also uses the word whodunit.
9.
In Knives Out, a whodunit for the Trump era.
9.
Says
For the Trump era. It's for the Trump era. It wasn't for anything else but the Trump era.
they use it 3 times.
So that's 11.
Journal.
Bring our total to 11. We're tied,
Wall
aren't we?
Street Journal.
I have 12. You have.
No, I have 9. You're closer.
You're right. I'm 1 closer.
You're 1 off.
Thank you, guys.
It was a good run. Congratulations. How do you feel?
For the first game, I feel pretty good. I feel a little bad because there's those 6 people out there who think it was rigged. That I knew it would come to 11, so I said 12.
Yeah, all the viewers.
I feel like it should be like a Price is Right kind of thing, where you have to get closest without going over.
Oh, close not going over. In retrospect, that is a good rule. But I've always enjoyed closest to, like, horseshoes, closest to the pin. Right.
Yeah.
The steak.
I can't take any movies to second chance. My final thoughts. I honestly wasn't prepared to kind of refute anything that was said. Only that I will end on this, and then the way it works is I'll say my last word. We'll sign off, and that'll be the show for future reference. But all I got to say for my last word is, JB, have a little more patience. I haven't seen it, so I can't speak to it. But I find for someone who went in with so much joy from Kung Fu Panda 1 that you need to give yourself the self-reflection, the time to look back at Kung Fu Panda 2 and see that film to the end and maybe give it the chance it and Jack Black deserves.
That's right. You should give Mr. Black his due.
Yeah. And with that, with that, I think we're done with the greatest movies of all time podcast. We have two in the vault, Knives Out and Snowpiercer.